it is that they want. They don't get to speak on that day unless they speak in that language. By the time these kids entered school, they already were completely linguistically competent in multiple languages. By the way, this happens all over Europe. Not because of anything other than necessity. If you live in certain parts of the world, this is kind of a necessity. You have to speak more than one language. Question, how would you be different? I mean, fundamentally different as a person if that had been your upbringing? Right? If that had been the way you saw the world. So the question again is asked, who are you? If you are your education, then that means you are a process of selection and deselection of information. So let's posit now the fundamental premise of the paper that you soon will write. When did your education begin? This process of selection and deselection. What was it that you were exposed to? What was it you were not exposed to? Who was making those choices? What do you know about those people? What was their logic for choosing what they chose? Because all of those choices, are you ready for what Socrates says? All of those choices, underline the word all of those choices are significant. They all produce who you are and what you are. There's no escaping this for Socrates. You are your education. The process of selection and deselection. Question, was your brainwashing random or was it intentional? The people who raised you, did they have some sense of what they were doing? Or rather, was it just totally random? Whatever came to mind, that's what they did. Well, I'll try this for them, I'll try that. Yeah, it'll all be fine. Or rather, was there some pretty intense intentionality at play? Research project about to begin. Question 1. You're going to have to go talk to some people. Because guess what? For the first 5 years of your life, you have no memory of any of this information. You came ready to begin to absorb information at birth, but you don't know what was being played in the car on the radio as you went home from the hospital. You got no idea. So you're going to have to start asking some questions. It's a 2-part question. 1, what was I exposed to or not exposed to? Were there shows I wasn't allowed to watch when I was 4? Were there kids I wasn't allowed to be around when I was 7? When I, for example, started reading books, what were the books in my nursery or in my bedroom or in my crib? Can you remember? Some of you live with whacked out parents who still own those materials. And so you can actually go and look at those books. If you do, if you still have those books, I highly recommend you take a look at them. Would you, could you with the fox? Would you, could you in a box? I do not like them. Sam I am. Wait a minute. If you go back and take a look at Green Eggs and Ham, you're going to realize that is a book that argues the necessity of experimenting the unknown. I don't like it, I don't want it. That's not the way we think about this world. If you live in that world, you'll never try anything new. Green Eggs and Ham was a propedeutic for you from the start. You were being instructed right from the start. Who was doing this process of selection, deselection? And now second question, was it intentional or was it random? You're going to have to ask those people who raised you. Did you know what you were doing? Did you do it intentionally or no?
Interruption. I just want to get
Thanks, we'll come back to have more conversation tomorrow.